Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. India imposes export restrictions to ensure balanced trade with Bangladesh. Says it should not assume India's northeast as a captive market. International Monetary Fund tightens bailout terms for Pakistan, imposes 11 new conditions. Seven all-party delegations to soon visit key nations to highlight India's collective resolve against terrorism. British Prime Minister Starmer to host EU leaders in London for talks on strengthening post-Brexit ties, also to reach a deal with the EU. And Pope Leo XIV is installed as the Catholic Church's head, calls for charity and unity. Deputy Chairman of the Upper House of Parliament, Harivansh, represents India at the inaugural Mass. India's Directorate General of Foreign Trade, the DGFT, has imposed new port restrictions on imports from Bangladesh effective immediately. The Commerce Ministry has clarified that goods transiting through India to Nepal and Bhutan are exempt. But this directive impacts about $770 million worth of trade, nearly 42% of bilateral imports. Here's the report.
India has imposed new restrictions on imports from Bangladesh through land ports, affecting goods worth around $770 million. This amounts to nearly 42% of total bilateral imports, according to the Global Trade Research Initiative, a trade research group. Till now, 93% of the Bangladeshi goods used to come to India through the land route. However, such port restriction will not apply to Bangladesh goods transiting through India but destined for Nepal and Bhutan. The move limits several key Bangladeshi products to specific seaports or bans them entirely from entering India via land routes. The restrictions have been imposed on import of all kinds of ready-made garments from Bangladesh from any land port. However, it is allowed through Nhava Sheva and Kolkata seaports. Import of fruit, fruit-flavored and carbonated drinks, processed food items, cotton and cotton yarn waste, plastic and PVC finished goods, except pigments, dyes, plasticizers and granules that form input for own industries, and wooden furniture, shall not be allowed through any land customs stations, integrated checkposts in Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram, and land customs stations Changrabandha and Phulbari in West Bengal. This cuts off access through previously vital land routes and is expected to hit Bangladesh's garment exports to India hard. However, the port restrictions do not apply to the import of fish, LPG, edible oil and crushed stone from Bangladesh. India had earlier permitted export of Bangladesh goods via all LCS and ICP and through seaports without undue curbs. But Bangladesh continues to impose port restrictions on Indian exports, particularly at LCSs and ICPs bordering northeast states, despite the issue being raised at all relevant meetings for a long time now. Due to land port restrictions by Bangladesh, northeast states suffer from lack of access to the Bangladeshi market to sell locally manufactured goods, restricting market access to primary agricultural goods only. Bangladesh, on the other hand, has had free access to the entire northeast market, creating an unhealthy dependency and stymieing growth of the manufacturing sector in the northeast. To support local manufacturing in the northeast, India decided to impose port restrictions across all LCSs, ICPs in Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram on specified Bangladesh exports to India, targeting those commodities that can be locally manufactured. India's restrictions on imports send a strong message to Bangladesh that it cannot cherry-pick the terms of bilateral engagement solely to benefit itself and take India's market access for granted. Raghav Kumar Jha's report for DD India.
Well, India's Ministry of External Affairs, sources there have said that land port restrictions are expected to restore equality in bilateral trade ties with Bangladesh and restore equal market access for both countries. The MEA sources said that now the relationship with Bangladesh will be on reciprocal terms. Ready-made garments imports from Bangladesh restricted to only two ports, Kolkata and Nhava Sheva, Mumbai. And this is a reciprocal measure to Bangladesh, which has imposed similar trade restrictions on Indian yarn and rice and selectively enhanced inspection on all Indian goods exported to Bangladesh. The Ministry of External Affairs sources have further said that Bangladesh needs to realize that it cannot cherry-pick terms for the bilateral trade solely for its own benefit, or for it to assume that the northeast of India is a captive market for its exports while denying it market access and transit. Now, as underlined by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the northeast in fact is integral to BIMSTEC, and the equal market space now available in the resource-rich northeast is expected to give a fillip to manufacturing and entrepreneurship in the region under the Atmanirbhar Bharat schemes and policies. Experts say change in policy by Bangladesh came following change in the regime in Dhaka.
We've seen that in the last 8 months since Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was forced to leave Dhaka, and the regime, interim regime, which is not even a legitimate regime, it's just an interim regime led by Chief Advisor Mohammad Yunus. They have arbitrarily been restricting movement of goods between India and Bangladesh. I think that Bangladesh should think seriously about what they want, whether they want good bilateral relations with India, they want free trade with India, they want to increase their exports to India.
Well, Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj of the School of International Studies at JNU now joins us with more on the story. Professor Bharadwaj, what role do duty-free Chinese fabrics and export subsidies play in giving Bangladesh an unfair advantage at this current time?
Thank you, Mark. Let me put in this way. This is what the spirit has been said by India during Sheikh Hasina's visit in 2010, that let's have a bilateral engagement in the regional framework. And that was at that time that framework agreement cooperation was signed between the two countries, and it was decided let's integrate the Eastern South Asia sub-region where the India and Bangladesh, Bhutan and Nepal will be considered as one unit. And it is true that if we consider that Bangladesh is India locked, then the India's northeast is also a Bangladesh locked. But it is not that much of Bangladesh locked, because India has developed taken number of initiatives and number of projects to connect northeast with the different parts of the world, including India. Now you will see that the way Bangladesh has postured and the way Bangladesh has started doing unfairly, that since we have the duty-free access of Bangladeshi goods and the Chinese goods are floating to Bangladesh market, and that is going to the northeast and other parts, and they are getting a lot of revenues by that. I think we have become very selective. We have become very specific to count that what kind of goods, and that we have designed and defined particular goods that what would be exported. Like you correctly pointed out in the report, that LPG and that fishery project products and all that would be easily will be coming to India. But if it is ready-made garment, or if it is the wooden furniture, and if it is the like perishable items, or the drinkable projects produced by the fruits and all that would not be allowed easily. But it would not apply in case of Bhutan and Nepal. That would be given by Chandrabhaga and Fulbari. There are two ports that they would be used to Bhutan and Nepal. But my point is here that
Professor Bharadwaj, sorry for coming in. Actually, how will the trade restrictions actually impact manufacturers and businesses in the northeast of our country?
No, it's not. It's not that. That's why I'm coming. The
Yes.
Bangladeshi companies were very popular, like Lafarge. They were there. The Pran. They were there. They were very popular. But they were moreover exporting the perishable items like food and all and the drink produced by the fruits and all that. And I think we are giving restrictions only on those, number one. Number two, when you were recently, you must have heard that India has come out a 4-line road connectivity project from Silchar to Shillong, that around 166 kilometers, and that would connect to the northeast and Assam, and that further it would connect to Mizoram and Agartala, and from there we are using Kaladan multimodal projects that you are aware,
right,
connecting to Sitwe, and from Sitwe it would connect to Kolkata. So now we are having very strong projects and connections with the northeastern region of India through different lines. There are also one more projects that you must have heard about. There is Tri-Nations Road Connectivity Project,
yes,
that has not
yes,
been completed yet, but India and Myanmar and Thailand would be connected with this Tri-Nations. So India, that it would not have any adversarial impact while we are looking forward, looking to have the manufacturing sectors in northeast, because we have strong connectivity, and India is a very strong market and very
indeed,
strong supplier to the entire northeast. Northeast
yes,
also supply
right.
to India. And yes,
Well,
so these are
a final question, Professor Bharadwaj, is will these restrictions impact BIMSTEC? And also, is it going to help India in streamlining its sort of the checkpoints or the customs points enforcement areas on our border?
No, let me put in that way. It has there are political regions, geopolitical or geostrategic factors that is impacting the integration of Bangladeshis with the entire BIMSTEC and India's northeast with the entire BIMSTEC. That the loose talks has been done by the interim governments. Had Mohammad Yunus, while he was visiting to China, he talked that India's northeast is much more dependent on Bangladesh and doesn't have access to the Bay of Bengal. I think these are all false and very immature statements given by Mohammad Yunus, that because we were looking to integrate and develop entire the region, Southeast
Yes,
Asian
yes,
region, including BIMSTEC. And BIMSTEC was one of the region that we will connect with India's Southeast Asian regions with the Southeast Asian countries, where Myanmar and Thailand would be also part of that, and Sri Lanka. But I don't think that if Bangladesh is having that kind of political instability and political posturing that and wants to bring the extra regional powers to balance India, that would not have any adverse impact,
yes,
on India, because I told you that India has developed an alternative base. And this is not the new story. When we wanted to have a gas pipeline through Myanmar to Bangladesh to northeast, and then they have denied it. And then we have come out with the Kaladan multimodal project. So we have alternative routes, and that would connect with the BIMSTEC countries, including Myanmar and Thailand, and definitely it will flow equally what India is wishing to connect with through its Act East policy to the Southeast Asian countries.
Okay, thank you for putting that into perspective for us, Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj of the School of International Studies, JNU. Thank you for joining us. Now, our next story, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, has imposed 11 more conditions on Pakistan, raising the total to 50 for the next bailout tranche. So these new demands include the parliamentary approval of a 17.6 trillion rupee budget, higher debt servicing charges on electricity bills, as well as lifting of restrictions on importing used cars over 3 years old. And the staff-level IMF report, that's what this report is, it warns that rising India-Pakistan tensions could further threaten the program's fiscal, external and reform objectives. With Pakistan heavily reliant on Chinese defense imports, numerous reports have indicated a pattern of failures and underperformance by Chinese systems during recent conflict. and this impacted both Pakistan's military effectiveness and China's reputation as a global arms exporter, as per reports. Now, the PL-15 Beyond Visual Range air-to-air missile, it reportedly failed to hit intended targets, malfunctioned mid-flight. The CM-400AKG air-to-surface missile, designed for high-speed precision strikes against ground and naval targets, was detected early by Netra and AWACS, and it lacks stealth features and is susceptible to spoofing and jamming. The J-10C and the JF-17 Block 3 fighter jets equipped with PL-15 missiles were unable to impede India's airstrikes. And an Indian Air Force strike reportedly destroyed a Chinese-supplied YLC-8E anti-stealth radar located at the Chunian Air Base in central Punjab. In fact, further highlighting the vulnerabilities in China's air defense offerings to Pakistan, the Indian air defense system successfully intercepted, or in fact neutralized, AR-1 missiles before they could reach their targets. Reports also indicate that Chinese supplied equipment often suffers from defective critical components, poor quality control, as well as inadequate after-sales service. A top Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist, Razaullah Nizamani alias Abu Saiullah, was behind 3 big attacks in India, and he was killed by unidentified gunmen in Pakistan's Sindh province. Nizamani, who was under government-provided security in Pakistan, was fatally shot by unidentified assailants near a crossing after leaving his home in Matli, Sindh, earlier this afternoon. Abu played a key role in orchestrating 3 significant terror attacks: the 2001 assault on a CRPF camp in Rampur, the 2005 attack on the Indian Institute of Science in Bengaluru, and the 2006 attack on the RSS headquarters in Nagpur. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. 3 European nations choose their leaders on a super election Sunday. Israel launches an extensive ground operation in Gaza. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Pope Leo XIV, who was elected to the papacy on May 8, was installed into the millennia-old institution as the 267th leader of the Roman Catholic Church on May 18. Now the Church's 1.4 billion followers will look to him for leadership on preserving the Church's heritage as well as steering it into a world driven by modernist ideas. Pope Leo XIV receives the Fisherman's Ring and with it is officially installed as the 267th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. At an inaugural Mass attended by several world leaders, Pope Leo spoke of protecting the millennia-old heritage of the Catholic Church while looking to the challenges and issues of the future.
In questo nostro tempo,
In this our time, we still see too much discord, too many wounds caused by hatred, violence, prejudice, the fear of difference, and an economic paradigm that exploits the earth's resources and marginalizes the poorest. For our part, we want to be a small leaven of unity, communion, and fraternity.
Catholics across the world watched the papal inauguration with great interest and hope. Earlier, the Pope drove through St. Peter's Square in the Pope Mobile, greeting people from all walks of life and imparting on them a blessing. Leaders who had gathered for the Mass then had a private introduction to the Pope. Representing India was the Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, Harivansh Narayan Singh. He conveyed the good wishes of the leadership and the people of India to the Pope. The papal institution has acted as a moral compass to the Western world, and Pope Leo has begun his pontificate with a message of peace. Be not afraid. He had also told a group of journalists to disarm words in order to disarm the world. Bureau Report, DD India. Well, Britain hopes to secure a reset deal with the European Union on Monday that would boost defence and security cooperation and smoothen the arrival of people and also food into the bloc, its chief negotiator had said on Sunday. Now, Britain's EU.
We are in the very final hours. I always expected it to go to the wire because we are negotiating extremely hard in the national interest. And what we are looking to deliver tomorrow is a deal that's going to be good for jobs, that's going to help to secure our borders, and is going to help to lower household bills. That's the negotiation I'm still in these final hours.
Britain's EU negotiator Nick Thomas-Simon's comments, they came as the British Prime Minister Starmer is set to host EU leaders in London on Monday in the most significant effort to reset ties since Britain left the EU in 2020 after 4 years of acrimonious divorce talks. Russia launched on Sunday its largest drone attack on Ukraine since the start of the war, destroying homes and killing at least one woman a day before the US President Donald Trump is due to discuss a proposed ceasefire with Russia's Vladimir Putin. Ukraine's intelligence service said that it also believed Moscow intended to fire an intercontinental ballistic missile later on Sunday as an attempt to intimidate the West. There was no immediate response from Moscow to the accusation. Voters in Portugal went to the polls on Sunday for the third general election in 3 years, with the Prime Minister Luis Montenegro's centre-right Democratic Alliance, AD, expected to win, though without a majority. So the opinion polls show AD ahead of the Socialist Party, the PS, but it is predicted to fall short of the 116 seats that are required in the 230-member parliament. Polls are voting on Sunday as well in a presidential election that will decide whether Warsaw follows the pro-European path that's set by the Prime Minister Donald Tusk or shifts in its direction to the nationalist admirers of the United States' President Donald Trump. Now, Trump's return to power has energized Eurosceptics across Europe, and also Sunday's ballot will be the biggest test of Tusk's pro-European vision since he came to power in 2023, ousting the Nationalist Law and Justice Party. Now, the election pits Warsaw's mayor, Rafał Trzaskowski, from Tusk's civil coalition against the conservative historian Karol Nawrocki, who is backed by the PIS. Romanians voted on Sunday in a presidential election runoff that pits a hard right Eurosceptic against a centrist independent, and where the outcome could have implications for both the country's struggling economy and EU unity. Hard right nationalist George Simeon, who's 38 years old, was there, and he opposes military aid to neighboring Ukraine and is critical of European Union leadership. Decisively led the first presidential election round, in fact, causing the collapse of the pro-Western coalition government. That triggered significant capital outflows. The centrist Bucharest mayor Nicolae Dan, who has pledged to clamp down on corruption, is staunchly pro-European Union and also pro-NATO. And he has said that Romania's support for Ukraine is vital for its own security against a growing Russian threat. The Israeli military said on Sunday that it had begun extensive ground operations in northern and southern Gaza, stepping up a new campaign in the enclave. Israel made its announcements after sources on both sides said that there had been no progress in a new round of indirect talks between Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas in Qatar. The office of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the latest Doha talks included discussions on a truce and hostage deal, as well as a proposal to end the war in return for exile of Hamas militants and the demilitarization of the enclave. Terms Hamas has previously rejected. Now, Israel's military said it conducted a preliminary wave of strikes on more than 670 Hamas targets in Gaza over the past week to support its ground operation dubbed Gideon's Chariots. It said it killed dozens of Hamas fighters. The spirit of patriotism is sweeping across the nation as the 11-day-long Tiranga Yatra continues to stir hearts and unite citizens in honor of India's brave defense forces. The Yatra, organized to pay tribute to the forces behind Operation Sindoor, has witnessed overwhelming participation from all corners of the country.
The Tiranga Yatra, now in its 11th day, continues to spark a wave of national pride as people from all walks of life come together to honor the valor of India's armed forces in Operation Sindoor. In Gujarat, Union Home Minister Amit Shah led a grand rally in Sanand near Ahmedabad on Sunday. A massive gathering of enthusiastic citizens marched alongside, echoing unity and patriotic zeal. Further west, Maharashtra witnessed an awe-inspiring Tiranga rally where citizens came together in a powerful show of solidarity to salute the defense forces for their successful mission.
हम सभी जानते हैं ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में जिस प्रकार से भारत की सेना ने बहादुरी दिखाई है, पूरे देश में जनता भारत के सेना के साथ खड़ी है, देश के प्रधानमंत्री जी के संकल्प के साथ खड़ी है.
Down south in Hyderabad, the entire city stood in unison with the armed forces as a majestic Tiranga Yatra moved, marking a resounding tribute to those who executed Operation Sindoor in response to the recent terror attack in Pahalgam.
इस ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के जो हमारा सेना संघर्ष करके देश को विजय पथ पर चलाया और इस सेना को धन्यवाद देने के लिए, सेना को अभिनंदन करने के लिए, भारत सरकार को अभिनंदन करने के लिए हम भी सेना के साथ हैं, हम भी देश के साथ हैं, ये नारा लेकर आज ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के जो आज कार्यक्रम हैदराबाद में किया गया.
The wave of patriotism isn't limited to just metro cities. Similar yatras were held across the country, from Riyasi and Shopian in Jammu and Kashmir to Delhi, Bihar, Odisha and beyond, turning the tricolour into a nationwide symbol of gratitude and unity. With bureau inputs, Amish Mahajan's report for DD India.
Well, the government of India has formed 7 multi-party delegations to present India's stance on Operation Sindoor and cross-border terrorism. Comprising leaders from various political parties, these delegations will visit key global nations. And the delegations will depart on May 23 or 24 for a 10-day tour. Before their visits, they will be briefed in 2 phases by the Foreign Secretary at Parliament House.
The all-party delegations formed by the Government of India to represent India's stance on Operation Sindoor and cross-border terrorism symbolizes unity under the message One Mission, One Message, One Bharat. Their goal is to convey India's collective resolve against terrorism to key international partners.
बाहर डिप्लोमेटिक सफारती कोशिशें करना बहुत अच्छी बात है, यही है, क्योंकि जंग का ज़माना चला गया, आज डिप्लोमेटिक मेजर्स की बात है, डिप्लोमेटिक इनिशिएटिव्स की बात है.
I appreciate all the MPs as unitedly they have raised their voice. They have told we are not representing the party, we are representing my country. And our Honorable Prime Minister, we thank our Honorable Prime Minister for forming such MP delegation to go to each and every country.
An all-party delegation led by BJP leader Bajrang Panda will visit countries including Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain and Algeria. Besides Bajrang Panda, the delegation includes BJP MPs Nishikant Dubey, Phangnon Konyak, Rekha Sharma, AIMIM MP Asauddin Owaisi, Ghulam Nabi Azad, among others. The second all-party delegation led by BJP leader Ravi Shankar Prasad will visit the UK, France, Germany, the EU, Italy and Denmark. TDP MP Dr. Duggapati Purandaswari, Shiv Sena UBT MP Priyanka Chaturvedi, among others, will be part of the delegation. The third all-party delegation led by JDU MP Sanjay Kumar Jha will visit Indonesia, Malaysia, the Republic of Korea, Japan and Singapore. BJP MPs Aparajita Sarangi, Brij Lal, Pradhan Barua, Hemang Joshi, AITC MP Yusuf Pathan and others will also be part of the delegation. The fourth all-party delegation led by Shiv Sena MP Shrikant Eknath Shinde will visit UAE, Liberia and the Democratic Republic of Congo and Sierra Leone. BJP MPs Basuri Swaraj, former MP SS Ahluwalia and others will also be part of this delegation. The fifth all-party delegation led by Congress leader Shashi Tharoor will visit the United States of America, Panama, Guyana, Brazil and Colombia. The delegation includes LJP MP Shambhavi Chaudhary, BJP MP Tejasvi Surya and others. The sixth all-party delegation led by DMK MP Kannimoyi Karunanidhi will visit Spain, Greece, Slovenia, Latvia and Russia. The delegations include SP MP Rajiv Rai, NC MP Mia Altaf Ahmed, BJP MP Brijesh Chauta and others. The seventh all-party delegation led by NCP SCP MP Supriya Sule will visit Egypt, Qatar, Ethiopia and South Africa. The delegation includes BJP MPs Rajiv Pratap Rudhi, Anurag Singh Thakur, Congress MP Manish Tiwari and others. The leaders and members of the delegations have expressed their gratitude to the government for the opportunity to represent the nation globally and convey the message on fighting terrorism. Rabindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
And to help us understand this diplomatic initiative in greater detail, we have with us Ambassador S.R. Tayal, former senior diplomat. Ambassador Tayal, thanks for being with us. What is the mandate and direction that is given to these 7 all-party delegations?
I think it's a very important move and a very significant action. Because, Mark, what we saw after 22nd April was that all the countries condemned that terrorist action. Many expressed concern. Most of the countries said that everybody should be united against the scourge of terrorism. And when India took action, decisive action against strongholds of terrorism, the terror strongholds, then unfortunately most of the countries did not see it as an attack or onslaught on terrorism, but they saw it as an attack on Pakistan, and they tried to equate India-Pakistan. And instead of seeing it as a decisive action against terrorist factories, they started looking at it as an India-Pakistan problem. So there is an issue. And of course, our embassies are trying their best. They are conveying at all levels. Our External Affairs Minister has been speaking to the counterparts in other countries. But beyond the government, also there is a huge constituency in our friendly countries. They are members of parliament, they are academic institutions, there are think tanks, there are journalists, and this is an attempt that India's point of view is conveyed directly to this kind of groups which have an input in the national psyche of those countries, policy making of those countries, and they are opinion builders.
Absolutely.
And that is an all party group, and people of every religion are there. So
Right.
the entire attempt of Pakistan to frame this issue in religious terms, that will be punctured. Another very strong message which will go to the international community is the entire India, all the political parties, civil society, former diplomats, everybody is totally united and is behind the government. And of course, I told Foreign Secretary will be briefing these delegations day after tomorrow, and they will be speaking with a lot of conviction and from the same script. And
Right.
also, I would like to add that some of the members have been former ministers of state of external affairs. They have their own network, they have their own credibility, they have their own connections, contacts, and that
Yes.
also becomes important in communicating to the right people at right level in our foreign country friends. Friendly
Indeed.
countries.
So it's showing India clearly standing united. There's a unity of purpose. But you know, also, how has India leveraged the international forums in the past as well? Forums like the UN, G20, to sort of isolate Pakistan over this issue of cross-border terrorism. Prime Minister, as we know, has always been raising the issue of terrorism.
That's right. In every bilateral meeting, whether it is at the Prime Minister's level, President's level, or External Affairs Minister, in the joint communiques, always the issue of terrorism is raised, and the other side is apprised of Pakistan's continued harboring and giving safe sanctuary to terrorists who are on the lists of United Nations, who are on the proclaimed terrorists and sanctioned list of United Nations Security Council. And of course, funding and financing has been from Pakistan. Unfortunately, Pakistan got away from the Financial Action Task Force grey list. Only 3 countries, if they say that the country should not be there, and unfortunately, Pakistan has 2-3 such
Friends, yes.
So it is very important that this message that in Pakistan the terrorism factories are still thriving, and all, whether it's now Afghanistan is a victim of terrorism emanating from
Right.
Pakistan. So all the neighboring countries are victims of the terrorism emanating from Pakistan. It should again be placed in the Financial Action Task Force grey list, at least, if not the blacklist. So there will be a very clear agenda. Then, of course, all the non-permanent members and other members of Security Council, they will also be visited by these delegations, because in UN Security Council, July, Pakistan is a non-permanent member this year, unfortunately. And in July, Pakistan will be chairing the UN Security Council, because every month the chair changes.
Okay.
And every month in alphabetical order, a new chair is there. So it may try to do some mischief at that
Indeed.
time, because the chair can issue some statements on behalf of the other members. So I think our delegation will have very clear mandate, very
Absolutely.
clear ideas, and then of course I am sure they will be taking a lot of evidence that how
Right.
these
In fact, that's what I wanted to come to you about, because, you know, diplomatically, how has India strengthened the counter-terrorism cooperation, you know, with several countries, US, France, UAE, Israel, and this network has built perhaps enough evidence, and you see our delegations providing proof, you know, from this intelligence sharing also to the strategic community that they are meeting.
I'm sure that will happen. Normally, what happens is that some kind of audiovisual presentation is made to the audience, and in that perhaps evidence will be provided. And then either the leader of the delegation or one of the members will make a detailed presentation. And after that, there will be Q&A. So it will be very planned in great detail. The Indian delegations and Indian ambassadors, also some former ambassadors, are also accompanying. The local embassy will be fully into play, and they will select the target audience in the host countries, that which groups of people and policymakers, journalists, etc. the visiting delegations would be meeting. And so it will be a very hectic period, and my own assessment is these things are effective to a certain level. Ultimately, of course, the policy is decided by the government of the day in the friendly countries. But public opinion matters, and policy inputs are taken from think tanks, journalists, and other.
Absolutely. But also India, Ambassador Thayal, has strategic arrangements, strategic partnerships with several countries in the world. To what extent, has this also helped in portraying Pakistan as a country that has terror networks?
It helps a lot, but what my experience has been that in private conversations, in official conversations, even our strategic partners, they listen to us, they say they agree with us. But publicly, unfortunately, they are not ready or unwilling or hesitant to call a spade a spade. And except perhaps Israel, no country has really named Pakistan that how such a horrific incident on 22nd April could take place. And everybody knows that the roots of all these terrorist attacks in India go to Pakistan. And then again, people talk about evidence. But as our External Affairs Minister clearly said, and others have said, of 26 November 2008, those horrific attacks in Mumbai, any amount of evidence has been provided to Pakistan. Kasab was Pakistani, all the terrorists were Pakistani, the intercepts are there, the call intercepts are there.
Right.
But Pakistan has not taken any action against those terrorists or those organizations. If one organization is banned, the same people form another organization, and all of them, they transmigrate to the other one. So it is time that India has to take action on its own, because in my view, and I am sorry to say this, but the international community has failed in controlling terrorism emanating from Pakistan. So our Prime Minister has very clearly told the world that now India will take action, direct action, kinetic action, not only on the terrorists and terrorist factories, but all those in Pakistan who support and defend and protect these factories of terrorism. So this message, I think, very forcefully will be conveyed to all our friends that the battle line, there are new red lines, it is a new normal, and if India takes any action in future, if there is any such similar attack, and I hope not, in India, then they should be prepared and we are giving them notice.
Absolutely. By India's doctrine, it's going to be treated as an act of war. But you did mention support, and you also mentioned the FATF in the past. Pakistan was grey-listed. At that time, was there enough pressure being put on Pakistan, you think, to end its, its terror factories? Because, I mean, is there a chance that they could still be grey-listed once again? After all, IMF is also starting to put conditions on them.
Yes, when Pakistan was in the grey list, then certainly there was about 14, 15 criteria which they had to fulfill. And gradually they were able to hoodwink the members of FATF that yes, they have complied with all those requirements. And that may be true partly, but of course it's very difficult to prove or disprove transfers of money. Now there are Bitcoin and all kinds of other currencies which are not traceable, which no bank can track them.
Right.
So it is really the intention of Pakistan and the evidence which is very clear that the most wanted terrorists, who are in the UN Security Council sanctions list, are there in Pakistan. They are living happily, and there is no real action against them, the leadership, as well as their followers.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Ambassador S.R. Tayal. Thank you for helping us understand the mandate and what these 7 delegations will be doing and putting it into a larger context for us. Now, moving on, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval held a telephonic conversation with Dr. Ali Akbar Ahmadian, who's the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council of Iran. And during this phone call, Doval emphasized Iran's constructive role in the region and expressed India's interest in expanding bilateral cooperation, particularly in the development of the Chabahar port and the International North-South Corridor, the transport corridor, that is, the INSTC. And he also thanked Iran for Iran's continued assistance and support. Dr. Ahmadian affirmed that Iran and India, as 2 ancient civilizations, share deep-rooted ties and have vast potential for political and economic collaboration. He stressed on the need to swiftly implement strategic projects and also reiterated that bilateral cooperation serves the broader interests of regional peace and stability. Imagine a world where, the quality of medicines costs less than a cup of tea or chai, and every village has access to life-saving drugs. That's the reality India is building. From 2014 to 2024, the pharmacy sector, the pharmaceutical sector in India, has transformed into a global health leader with affordable, innovative and inclusive medicines. Now, looking ahead, experts at India Ratings, part of the Fitch Group, expect revenue to grow 7.8% year-on-year in April 2025, driven by strong demand and new products. India's pharmaceutical industry, in fact, is a global giant, ranking 3rd in volume and 14th in value. It is the largest supplier of generic medicines, providing 20% of the world's supply, and is a key player in affordable vaccines. In 2023-24, in fact, the sector's turnover was 4,17,345 crore rupees, growing steadily at over 10% annually for the past 5 years. Now, for the common man, this means more medicines at lower prices, better healthcare, and also jobs in factories and labs across the country. From small towns to big cities, India's pharmacy sector, the pharmaceutical sector growth, is creating opportunities and also saving lives. What's still to come here on DD India NewsHour? Austria wins the Eurovision Song Contest. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Mark Lin. The Austrian artist JJ has won the Eurovision Song Contest 2025 in the Swiss host city of Basel, in the country's first victory since the bearded drag queen Conchita Wurst won in 2014. And the win, in fact, was Austria's 3rd in the competition following Conchita's success and Udo Jürgens' victory in 1966. At the crossroads of creativity and global partnerships, India is shining at the 78th Cannes Film Festival. There was a special session which was dedicated to Maharashtra at the festival. Jayasena reports.
For the 10th consecutive year, Marathi cinema is making a strong presence at the Cannes Film Festival film market. 4 new Marathi feature films are creating a buzz. The Maharashtra government, in collaboration with Film City of Mumbai, is providing a platform for young filmmakers to network with international producers, distributors and filmmakers.
The world producer, director come to Maharashtra for their shootings, their feature films, documentaries, ads and other things in Maharashtra. So we can introduce in Cannes. Last 10 years we can come from India, Maharashtra. We can larger our picture to world.
Maharashtra government supports us. Thanks to Honorable Chief Minister, Deputy Chief Ministers and our Cultural Minister. They support Maharashtra. Maharashtra teams, they are being here along with some feature films to get the wider cross-sectional area of the world. They are getting a wider platform over here.
The pavilion featured films like Sthal a Match, Snowflower, Khalid Ka Shivaji and Old Furniture.
बहुत एक्साइटमेंट है, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. मेरी 2 फिल्में इस बार यहाँ पर इस फेस्टिवल में है. द स्नोफ्लावर जिसका पोस्टर आप अभी देख रहे हैं, जिसको मैंने साइबेरिया में शूट किया था, और दूसरी मेरी फिल्म है पारो, जो बहुत हार्ड हिटिंग फिल्म है और जो बहुत एक अच्छे मुद्दे को उठाती है. तो ये 2 फिल्में, दोनों फिल्मों का स्क्रीनिंग हो चुका है और बहुत ही जो रिस्पांस मिला है उससे पता चला कि जो मेहनत की थी, जो काम किया था, लोगों तक पहुंच रहे हैं और जैसा चाहता था वैसा पहुंच रहा है.
Content-driven cinema is receiving great appreciation, and the magic of Indian cinema continues to shine on the global stage.
Films from the remotest corners of India are making waves at the Cannes Film Festival. Indian films are getting houseful screening at the film market. Cinema transcends border, and at the Cannes Film Festival, India's story continues to inspire. With camera person Sumit, this is Jaya Sinha reporting for DD India from Cannes.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. Let's get you the sports news now. India's Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia on Sunday announced the broadening of the Khelo India initiative. He announced the introduction of multiple games to cover school sports, martial arts, beach and water sports from this year onwards. The minister said that the government will soon introduce a series of Khelo India games and other competitions, including Khelo India Northeast Games. The aim is to strengthen India's sporting ecosystem, provide strategic year-round schedule to boost grassroots competition and talent identification. He also launched Khelo India annual calendar. Now, the Khelo India Beach Games will kick off on Monday in the Union Territory of Dadra and Nagar Haveli and also Daman-Diu. Now, what's happened is that over 800 athletes from 22 states and union territories will compete for medals across 6 sports. They are beach soccer, pencak, silat, sipak takraw, beach kabaddi, beach volleyball and open water swimming. Pencak silat is a type of martial arts actually. It's a sport, but it's a martial art, and it will see the highest participation with 22 teams set to gun for glory. The games will operate in the format of a team championship, wherein the medalists and the medals, in fact, they are going to earn by individual athletes or teams will contribute to the overall medals tally of their respective state or union territory. The tournament will take place from the 19th to the 24th of May. The second edition of the Kalpana Chawla All India Women's Cricket Tournament concluded at the City Fort Sports Complex in New Delhi, highlighting the growing momentum behind women's cricket in India, celebrating not just sporting excellence but the enduring legacy of courage and empowerment. This event brought together young women cricketers from across the country. Let's look at this report.
The spirit of women's empowerment and sporting excellence took center stage at the second Kalpana Chawla All India Women's Cricket Tournament held in New Delhi. Dedicated to honoring the legacy of astronaut Kalpana Chawla, the tournament aimed to celebrate her spirit and inspire a new generation of young women to pursue their dreams on and off field. This edition of the tournament witnessed participation from academies across the country with a focus on providing a competitive platform for emerging female cricketers. Over the course of the tournament, young athletes demonstrated grit, teamwork and passion.
ये टूर्नामेंट हमने कराया है ना, ये बच्चों के प्रमोशन के लिए श्री फोर्ट जैसे ग्राउंड पे, जो कि एक अच्छा हमने एटमॉस्फेयर देने के लिए, अच्छी फैसिलिटीज़ देने के लिए, 40 ओवर से क्रिकेट कहीं नहीं होता, हम लोग रेड बॉल से वाइट कपड़ों में फर्स्ट टाइम दिल्ली में टूर्नामेंट हो रहा है, सेकंड टाइम हम लोग करा रहे हैं इसको, और इसमें अच्छे माहौल में है, और सबसे अच्छी बात है कि क्रिकेट की जो बेस्ट फैसिलिटीज़ हैं हम बच्चों को मुहैया करा रहे हैं।
धीरे धीरे वुमेंस को स्पोर्ट्स डीडीसी भी कर रही है, वो भी एक वुमेंस लीग शुरू करना चाह रही है, और इस तरह से धीरे धीरे अगर करेंगे तो जैसे लड़कियां कितनी अच्छी परफॉर्म कर रही हैं, आप देखो ना WPL भी जीती, सारी चीज़ WPL भी होने लगी है, तो ये सब धीरे धीरे करके अच्छा प्रमोट हो रहा है।
In the grand finale, RP Cricket Academy delivered a commanding performance, scoring 255 runs and defeating Bal Bhavan Cricket Academy by a massive margin of 158 runs to lift the championship trophy. Nazma Khan was the standout performer of the day, clinching both Player of the Match and Player of the Tournament awards for her exceptional performance throughout the competition.
It was a good experience. Like the other team was very competitive, and we had enjoyed each and every game. So it's a good combination. And it was a good tournament for us.
The closing ceremony was graced by Pradeep Jindal, who is the brother of Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta, along with senior officials from the Delhi and District Cricket Association. The dignitaries facilitated the winning and runner-up teams and applauded the organizers for promoting women's sports through a tournament of such scale and significance. As curtains fall on the second edition of Kalpana Chawla All India Women's Cricket Tournament, the echoes of determination and passion linger across the City Fort Sports Complex in New Delhi. The tournament was not only a fitting tribute to the great astronaut, but it was a testament to the fact that sports has the power to create an inclusive and empowered environment for women. With cameraman Yogesh, this is Mehar Raj Singh for DD India, Delhi.
Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on your screen now and download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lynn. From all of us here in Delhi, thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.